Hi everyone, welcome to my video presentation for my capstone project for the IBM Advanced Data Science Certificate. For this project, I chose the subject Automatic Diagnosis of Respiratory Disorder. Why this subject? Because air pollution is the number 4 cause of premature death worldwide, mainly due to respiratory disorders. We are really facing a global health problem. Respiratory disorders affect hundreds of millions of people. More than 7 million of deaths worldwide are due to air pollution. For example, just in the USA, 25 million people have asthma, around 15 million adults are diagnosed with COPD, and approximately 12 million people are not diagnosed yet. Mortality particularly touches low-income and isolated population. What if using technology we could provide faster detection and diagnosis? From anywhere? This is what my use case address, automatic diagnosis. For this, I use the dataset on Kaggle respiratory disorder analysis. It contains 126 patient demographic information and diagnosis, 920 sound files of respiratory audio recordings, which is around 5.5 hours of recording, and around 7,000 respiratory cycles. The use case is to classify model, to build classification model through supervised learning, using audio featuring and machine learning and deep learning techniques. It has to run on a regular laptop, MacBook Pro, and the deliverables are Jupyter notebooks. As experimentation outcomes, several machine learning and deep learning models were experimented, and they are available as Jupyter notebooks. Overall, they gave good prediction on performance using especially convolutional neural network models. As you can see, they reach 84% average on correct automatic diagnosis, little more on some specific diagnosis like COPD or bronchiectasis. Despite a limited and unbalanced dataset, which required data augmentation, and also limited computing resources, which needed degradation in data precision, the sample rate. The next step, first, will be to consolidate and enhance automatic diagnosis capability using a larger dataset, extended computing resources. Also, model refinement and enforcement are needed to provide better results. And it will have to be tested on various recording sources, for example, cell phone. The second axis is to provide a fully automated processing pipeline and deployment. So fully automated audio to diagnosis pipeline, a deployment on mobile device, and maybe processing directly on mobile devices. Provide a disconnected mode. Let's now go through the second part of the presentation, the peers presentation. So we will see architectural choices, the steps for data quality assessment, data preprocessing and feature engineering, the model performance indicators, and the model algorithm. The architectural choices are quite classical with a streamlined libraries. So from framework libraries, I use the Jupyter Notebook with Python, libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib for the graph displays, PySpark and Spark SQL for dataset preprocessing. For audio file processing, I use the sound file library to read the wave files, and the Librosa library for audio signal manipulation. For the models, I use the PySpark MLlib, scikit-learn, and for the deep learning models, Keras with TensorFlow backend. And everything run on my regular laptop. So the first step was data quality assessment and preprocessing. For this step, I ran data analysis and quality assessment, which shows different rates and lengths and an unbalanced data set with a majority of diagnoses corresponding to COPD. I also run a statistical analysis on demographic data, including a percent correlation test, which shows no correlation between the metadata coming from demographic information and the diagnosis type. And I also run a chi-square test, which shows no specific dependency between demographic data and the diagnosis. So that's where I decided to run the models only on the audio data. I also took a look at the audio data, either raw data displayed as time series, but also on transform data, so transforming from time to frequency using spectrograms, for example, but also MFCC, to see where if I could see some patterns corresponding to the different diagnosis types. So data preprocessing, the first step was to deal with the different rates and lengths. So for this, I use resampling, and I chunk the different recordings into equal size subsamples. Basically, I cut the audio recording in several chunks. This first dataset didn't give good prediction, good models, so I have to come back on another iteration and deal with this unbalanced dataset through data augmentation. So for this, I kept some chunks untouched and kept it on the test set. And for the other chunks, I multiplied them. So I run data augmentation. So I multiply these chunks by transforming them through adding noise and stretch in order to build a more balanced training set. For feature engineering, the goal was to transform the audio data from time to frequency domain, and actually to transform the time series audio data to image-like data. I chose the male frequency septual coefficient, MFCC techniques, as an audio signal transformation technique. Why? Because it gave a more compact format compared to spectrograms or wavelets. As model performance indicators, since the problem is a multi-class classification problem, for the model prediction performances, I use precision, recall, F1 score, and confusion matrix. And I also took a look at the model learning performance, especially for generalization performances. So I traced the accuracy and loss on both training and validation phases. I tried several model algorithms, machine learning and deep learning models, as you can see on the table. The best models were the convolutional neural network models. As you can see, they give good performances in both training, validation, and test. To illustrate the model performance change and the impact of data augmentation, you can see here the example for the SVM model. Without data augmentation, I had very erratic predictions. Basically, COPD was draining all the weight on prediction. And with data augmentation, I obtain much better prediction performances. As you can see on the confusion matrix below. The best results were obtained using a convolutional neural network, and especially the model with a leaky ReLU activation layers. It shows more robustness to the dataset. I also had good results, but less robust with dropout layers with a small coefficient of 0.1. The best result is shown on the performance matrix below. Basically, with leaky ReLU, I obtained a average score of 0.84 for both precision and recall. And with a dropout layer of code 0.1, it went up to 0.86 for precision and 0.85 for recall, all with a good F1 score. Okay, so let's now take a look at the notebooks. So you'll see the 6 notebooks as part of the project. We will just take a look at the deep learning notebook, which is open here. So the first step is to read the data augmented that were exported from the feature notebook. Okay, so it's here. Rename the columns. Then define a pipeline to transform the data into data usable for the deep learning models. Here, custom transformer, which convert the array vector into a dense vector. Okay, one autoencoder, normalizer, normal1. Then we define the pipeline, and we apply the pipeline to transform the data, the dataset. Then there are the several models, deep learning models used, implemented. Let's go to the last one. So the last one, here is, okay. So the last one is here, the leaky ReLU convolutional neural network model with no dropout. So you can see the different layer, convolutional 2D, leaky ReLU, max pooling, conv2D, leaky ReLU, etc., etc. So no dropout layer here. Here you see the fitting stage. It's called with batch size 128 and 15 epochs. As you can see here, the model converged quite fast to a good accuracy and a low loss. Okay, so here the diagrams show the training and validation accuracy and loss. We can see a good fit between training and validation for both accuracy and loss, which makes us confident that the overfitting is not too high. So train accuracy and loss are very good. Validation also, almost one for accuracy. The test accuracy, here it is, drop, but is still good, 0.84, with a test loss which is quite low, so overfit is not too strong. And here we find the report on prediction. So as you can see, a good precision on COPD and in precision and recall, COPD, bronchiectasis, asthma, there is one record and it's correctly classified. And pneumonia is not too bad, so more than 80% precision and recall. Okay, and then here we have the confusion matrix plotting. So this method is defined on the same notebooks. and it shows the confusion matrix normalized, so between 0 and 1. You see that we see the almost perfect prediction from bronchiectasis here. And here in a number of samples. So, okay. And then we save the models. So as a conclusion, this model looks very promising, I think. You can find the report and all the notebooks on my GitHub account. Thanks for watching.